Good evening and welcome. Thanks very much for tuning in to NDTV. I'm Padmaja Joshi, and on every story that matters, the buck stops here. On New Year's Eve, I hope all of you are ready to have a fantastic 2026. Here's wishing all of our viewers a wonderful 2026. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, for them this year gone by, was their 100th year of founding. 100 years have passed since the founding of the RSS. They came into being in 1925, aiming to counter the West concept of a nation. However, the Western media's fixation on the RSS persists. The New York Times on the 26th of December featured an article, "From the Shadows to Power: How the Hindu Right Has Reshaped India." On its front page, this article was printed. Criticism is valid, factual manipulation, however, is not. The article portrays the RSS as a shadowy cabal, their words, not mine, a cabal that has immense power. It's an underground organization. Its affiliates act as vigilantes. Now, it also cites the RSS's philosophy as one that fuels attacks on Muslim neighborhoods and churches. It claims that the organization views India's Muslims and Christians as descendants of foreign invaders. The New York Times claims that RSS draws inspiration from fascist forces from the 1930s and 1940s. Secret society, Hindu supremacy. This portrayal has now sparked outrage, with people questioning whether this is nothing more than a glorified hit job. However, this article also has been quoted by several within our own country. An entire ecosystem has again risen up with glee, saying, look, what we've said all of this while for the last 100 years about the RSS is now being echoed. It's now being mirrored by the West as well. This has been linked to several incidents in the recent past of some fringe groups taking the law in their hands, of so-called attacks which took place. Some of them actually were attacks and they have been punished with arrests being made. But all of this has now been linked to the RSS, and the question is again being asked, is it time to ban this organization? Which brings me to the big question on which the buck stops here. A new year has brought with it a new hit job on the RSS by the West and a very, very incensed ecosystem. All right, let's take that question across. Joining us on this New Year's Eve, we have Dr. Guru Prakash Paswan, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, political analyst Karan Verma and Pankaj Sharma. But my first question is to senior journalist Ashutosh, who in fact has spoken at length about the RSS. Ashutosh ji, it seems that the year may change, but the obsession with the RSS simply doesn't end. This New York Times piece, "From the Shadows to Power: How the Hindu Right Has Reshaped India." Is this a new hit job? Because the kind of, जो कहते हैं ना कि जो उपमा दी गई है RSS को, where they've been called a secret society, shadowy cabal, they're almost making them sound like the Ku Klux Klan.
See, I think RSS should be happy that RSS is attracting the global interest in the organization. I'm not surprised because RSS has been active in this country for the last 100 years. And now they have three consecutive government at the center. So obviously there will be a lot of interest in RSS. Even before Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister, there was a lot of interest in RSS too. And many books had been written even by the foreigners in that context. But I'm not surprised by this piece by New York Times. I read this piece, and basically they are trying to tell to the whole world that how RSS has acquired the hegemonic position with an ideology of Hindutva in India. And they are going to stay here for a very long time. I have been told that they tried to talk to not to the critics of the RSS, but especially from insiders. Many of them who spoke with New York Times without disclosing their names. So a story they are trying to be is as objective as they could be.
So do you really think it's objective? I want to read out to you a part of this for our viewers who may not have read it. RSS originated as a shadowy cabal for the revival of Hindu pride after a long history of Muslim invasions. It takes a nationalist formula of fascist parties in Europe during 1930s and 40s. It is closing in on its dream to rebuild India's secular republic as a muscular Hindu first nation. It has infiltrated and co-opted India's institutions to such a degree that its deep roots will ensure that it remains a powerful force. How do you find it an objective view of what the RSS is doing?
I think it's much more objective. because these are the criticism which has not been labeled today only. If you go back in history, even before the independence, these objections were there and these comments were there. And people always quote that how B.S. Munjay, before he asked Hedgewar to form the RSS, had gone and met Italian fascist leader, and even there are documented proofs that he was really inspired by how the black shirts were doing on the streets and how they tried to organize themselves. So I'm not surprised by these comments.
Okay.
And I think RSS should not take it otherwise in a way, because.
Okay. Guru Prakash Paswan, this is not a hit job. There are many people who are bristling at the kind of language, but this has been done over the years. People have said that, you've taken inspiration from fascist forces, black shirts, and the entire thing of shakhas, very military, very militant, more than military. And now your fame, the RSS's fame, has been globalized. Ab puri dunya dekhegi RSS kya kar rahi hai. It's not a hit job, it's reality.
No, Padmaja, let me quote a very famous international author who once said about RSS that it is difficult to understand RSS but easy to misunderstand RSS. This is the 100th year, centenary year of both the RSS and the Communist Party in India. You look at the relevance, you look at the position, you look at the impact, you look at the expansion. If you do a comparative analysis of the Communist Party and the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, you will realize by yourself. Today, in the last 100 years, the world's largest trade union, the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. Today, in the last 100 years, the world's largest student union, Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. The largest political party across the globe, the Bharatiya Janata Party. The organization that works in the remote jungles of Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram. 36 such organization, Padmaja, in front of me that works in different spaces of society, right from cooperative to family and so on and so forth. This is a very good book. I would recommend Ashutosh ji to read this book. I'm sure he would have read it, but he would refuse to quote it. RSS, A View to the Insight by Walter K. Anderson and Sridhar Tamble. It is a foundational book if anyone is there who is genuinely interested in any scholarship with respect to RSS.
Ashutosh ji has also quickly extracted a book from his shelf. I am looking at him. वो भी जल्दी से एक किताब निकाल के बैठ रहे हैं. Bunch of Thoughts तो नहीं है वो. That's his favorite. He will now quote from Bunch of Thoughts.
See, most of the books which has come in the market since RSS inception, most of them is with me. And the latest one I would like to enlighten Guru Prakash ji is by Mr. Kamalnayan Chaube on the Adivasi, especially on the Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram. This book specifically deals how the RSS has gone into the tribal areas in Northeast and in the tribal areas of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, and how they are working over there. So I'm pretty aware of what RSS is doing on the ground and how they try to adjust their ideology with the local.
And Guru Prakash, you quoted all these organizations. Even the piece recognizes it, but it says it does so with little transparency or accountability. It has accumulated vast riches that are spread through a multitude of small independent outfits and trusts. So you are working, yes, but you are working in this shadowy cabal fashion.
No. If I can respond to our respected Ashutosh ji, he was enlightening me. For how long, Ashutosh ji, Mr. X Chaube will enlighten Mr. Paswan? Let some Mr. Paswan, Mr. Murmu, Mr. Santhal also enlighten Mr. Chaube. And this is what the Sangh is doing. For the first time in the history of our republic, Adivasi ki beti has reached the highest constitutional republic. Has it ever happened before? It did not. For the first time in our history, we have a humble tea seller. एक चाय बेचने वाला सामान्य परिवार से आने वाला व्यक्ति देश का इतना ताकतवर प्रधानमंत्री बना है. ये संघ के ही संरक्षण में संभव हुआ है. You have to understand the old feudal order. RSS is always being labeled as supremacist, exclusivist, God knows what. But you see today the governance, the positions that matter, the positions of consequence, they are far more inclusive, far more socially diverse, far more representative
but should there be more
than they were
transparency in the
ever before.
RSS? That is
Mr.
the question.
Rahul Gandhi, the opposers of RSS, thoda suniye sir.
Should there be an audit of the RSS?
So
why is there no transparency?
The opposers of RSS always labeled as Padmaja. What sort of transparency are we talking about? There is a Vishwa Samvad Kendra. Haven't you seen the interview of the recent Panjanya conclave? all the senior leadership of the RSS have on multiple occasions come out and said the number of shakas, the number of affiliate organization, the number of Swayamsevaks, everything is out there in public domain, and then you are accusing us of being non-transparent. This is beyond my comprehension, Padmaja. Even likes of Mr. Digvijay Singh, former Congress leader, even likes of Jai Prakash Narayan. I am live from Bihar, Padmaja. Jai Prakash Narayan, the disciples of Jai Prakash Narayan who are opposing RSS today, it was Jai Prakash Narayan said, and I quote, that RSS is my only hope during this emergency movement. I am sure Ashutosh ji would be aware of this fact. You cannot oppose RSS on any logical ground. If you look at our work, if you look at the sacrifice, if you look at the expanse the RSS has reached, it is second to none. The article which has appeared on New York Times is nothing. It's irrelevant. New York Times has lost relevance in New York as well. You see all the media elites. The
This is only an attempt to try and create a narrative. As far as this whole thing about it being shadowy and secretive, Guru Prakash Paswan is saying it's out there in the open. शाखा उनके खुले में लगती है. केशव कुंज में आप जाके देख लीजिए, वहां पर लाइब्रेरी है, पूरी हिस्ट्री है, आप पढ़ लीजिए, आपको पता चल जाएगा कि क्या है आरएसएस, क्या है उनके पैसे, और वहां वॉलंटियर्स के पैसे से केशव कुंज में नई उनकी इमारत खड़ी हुई है. What is shadowy? What is secret? Okay, 30 seconds, Ashutosh, and I'm coming to you, Mr. Sharma.
Can I ask a simple question? Is there any membership registration of RSS? Is RSS registered anywhere? Does anybody know that the money which comes to the RSS by the donors, is there any account of it?
Guru Prakash,
does anybody know how the RSS chief is elected? Does anybody know? Nobody knows. So why, if it is called as the Shadowy Cabal, what's wrong in it?
Ashutosh ji, RSS has no membership fee. RSS has no membership fee. आप चाहिए तो हम आपको भी, आप शाखा आइए, आपका स्वागत है, आप भी सदस्य बन सकते हैं. एंड ऑल द एफिलिएट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, बीट द भारतीय जनता पार्टी, अभी इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड पे आप लोगों ने इतना अनावश्यक हंगामा किया.
आजकल तो शाखा भी आने की जरूरत नहीं है. आजकल तो डीके शिव कुमार असेंबली में ही नमस्ते सदा वत्सले कर रहे हैं.
ओपन एंड ट्रांसपेरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन.
भाई आरएसएस मैंने कहा ना कि आरएसएस के पास जो पैसा आता है उसका कोई ऑडिट होगा या नहीं होगा, या उसका जो वो संचालक चुने जाते हैं, कैसे चुने जाते हैं.
अखिल भारतीय विद्यार्थी परिषद का ऑडिट नहीं होता है. अखिल भारतीय अधिवक्ता परिषद का ऑडिट नहीं होता है. सर क्या बोलते हैं सर आप? आरएसएस इज अ सोशल कल्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विद इट्स एफिलिएट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. बीजेपी ऑडिट होता है, एबीवीपी ऑडिट होता है. क्या बात करते हैं सर आप?
आरएसएस के बारे में
फॉल्स नैरेटिव एंड फेक प्रोपेगेंडा, वी आर बियॉन्ड दैट सर.
आरएसएस जी, आपको उससे आगे जाने की जरूरत है. संचालक इज इलेक्टेड, हाउ सर कारवाई इज इलेक्टेड. Is there any written document which says that this is the process through which they are elected?
Karan Verma, let me read out another excerpt. Karan Verma, let me read out another excerpt. And you know, the insinuation in this piece is that since the time the BJP has come to power, RSS has gained not just in power, but it has gained in riches as well. Its leaders enjoy freedoms and luxuries that come with unchecked power. They opened a lavish campus in New Delhi consisting of 13-floor towers built across 3.7 acres. Mr. Bhagwat travels with a security entourage close to the size of Mr. Modi. यानी कि बीजेपी आरएसएस दोनों की चांदी. करण वर्मा.
So Padmaja, at the outset, you know, I consider Ashutosh ji very objective. I think the best objective viewpoint for RSS would be if we hear what their detractors, their critics, or people who have an opposing ideology say about them. Now, Pandit Nehru, isn't it true that after the 1962 war, Pandit Nehru invited the Mazdoor Sangh for the Republic Day celebrations and appreciated their efforts during the 1962 war? That's coming from Pandit Nehru. In 1965, is it not true that Lal Bahadur Shastri invited the Sarsang Chalak Golwalkar ji for an all-party meeting and appreciated their civic volunteers' efforts during the 65 war, where they managed traffic and other things? Is it not true that Ambedkar ji in 1939, when he visited a Shakha in Pune, appreciated the RSS and said that I don't see any untouchability there? In fact, Gandhi ji in 1934, when he visits Wardha Shakha with Jamna Lal Bajaj ji, he mentions this, that their commitment to the nation, the selfless service to the nation is appreciable. I don't see an iota of untouchability there. So are we saying that Gandhi ji, Nehru ji, Lal Bahadur Shastri, all these people are also Sanghis? So we must give credit where it's due. Padmaja, 12,000 schools they are running. They're educating 3.2 million students in the far-flung areas where people dare not go. It's so extreme in terms of conditions. And then the New York Times, and New York Times of all, have the audacity to say that they're leading an ostentatious lifestyle. New York Times, it must be known, they could not even recognize that those who had killed Hindus in Pahalgam, they were terrorists. It called them gunmen. Can you imagine? It undermined what's happening to the Hindus in Bangladesh. It said it's largely exaggerated. It keeps on sermonizing India as if Christians are under threat in India. You remember the 2015 hit job, which turned out to be false. It was a law and order issue, where even Obama had gone on sermonizing Indians that there is growing religious intolerance. So the New York Times has given Al-Qaeda and ISIS a free run, if anything, but have targeted Hindus and called them bigots. So let's not trust the New York Times of all things. This is an year where hatred has been normalized against Indians in America, and that has been recognized by various think tanks. But the New York Times has had a stunning silence on that.
So are you saying that this is a deliberate...
I wish they bid goodbye to hypocrisy also along with 2020.
Are you saying that this is a hit job?
Absolutely. And this is not the first time. They've had 14 hit jobs, I can tell you that, right from 2014. They have a problem with the Hindus and anything related to Hindus, whether it's Hindutva, whether it is RSS, and they've always come up with this narrative.
Pankaj Sharma, there is no doubt that there is a growth in the activities of the RSS, and over time it has also grown in influence. Is this a reaction to that? Karan Verma says this is nothing more than a hit job by a newspaper which is worried with the rise and the growth of RSS worldwide.
Job. RSS is not a social cultural organization. It is basically an anti-social, anti-cultural organization. RSS is an underground organization. It has its own underworld. The fact is that there are many instances which clearly illustrate that the acute social disharmony which exists today in our country is a direct result of the activities by RSS and its affiliates.
Sir, how is it an underground organization? You can literally walk into any neighborhood park and you will find their shakhas being conducted there in full public view. What exactly about them is underground?
Because it is so secretive that its accounts are not known, its membership is not known, its activities are so hidden that you just cannot understand them. There cannot be two opinions that RSS is a fascist group whose early ideologues were inspired by Nazism, and RSS strongly promotes an ideology of Hindu supremacy and makes every effort to marginalizing minorities.
You know, the funny thing is that your view is actually even stronger than that of the New York Times, because the NYT, by the way, recognizes, Mr. Sharma, that the RSS's leaders have taken a nuanced public stance in recent years, presenting an inclusive idea, but then goes on to say, but we shouldn't take this at face value because we'd rather believe 10-20 people who get onto the streets ahead of Christmas, ahead of Valentine's Day, who are said to be over here, RSS affiliates, and answer that, Guru Prakash Paswan, because it says here vigilantes who proudly identify as members of RSS affiliates police public life along religious lines, frequently enforcing economic boycotts of Muslim businesses, which is why आपकी कथनी और करनी में बहुत फर्क है, and which is why Pankaj Sharma and Ashutosh will keep asking questions along with New York Times about this organization. The vigilantes versus the public inclusive face of the
I'm happy that questions must come. It is very important in a democracy that everything should be questioned. But Padmaja, you would very well remember when PM spoke on Goraksha. He said, and I quote, he went out and said that lumpenism in the name of Goraksha cannot be promoted or tolerated at any cost. On the day of Christmas, PM himself was physically present in the cathedral in New Delhi. And we don't need any validation or any certificate from either Ashutosh ji or Pankaj ji. They're very senior, but you have to understand, the Muslim Rashtriya Manch is an affiliate organization of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. For the first time, Padmaja, there is a conversation around the Pasmandas. मुसलमानों में जो पिछड़ा है, मुसलमानों में जो गरीब है, मुसलमानों में जिनको प्रतिनिधित्व नहीं मिला है. You have a Tariq Mansoor who become first Pasmanda to become a chancellor of the Aligarh Muslim University. You have a Ghulam Ali Khatana who is a Muslim tribal who becomes the first person to reach the upper house in the Indian Parliament. So I don't understand abolition of triple talaq, the abrogation of Article 370, the largest segment of beneficiaries of all the welfare schemes. You look at Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, you look at Ujjwala Yojana, you look at Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, the largest chunk of beneficiaries today are from the Muslim community. And the talk is, no, RSS is there to marginalize the Muslim. This is nothing. This is just beyond my comprehension. If you look at the data, if you look at it statistically, I am challenging you openly on national television that the number of beneficiaries, 33% more Muslim girls are going to high schools after 2014. I think you have to speak factually. You have to speak on the basis of your data. You can not just be presumptuous and speak on the basis of your preconceived notion. RSS has a journey of 100 years, sir. You look at the Akhil Bharati Vidyarthi Parishad, you look at the leadership that is being cultivated at the ground level. You will not understand that. You will just have a Delhi-based conversation, a Delhi-based drawing room dialogue that RSS is exclusivist, RSS is saffron.
Is there a deliberate effort to miss the woods for the trees? You will discount, and let me quote an example here. You know, again and again, just a second, again and again, people hark back to what has been said in the bunch of thoughts. Just a second, can I please have silence for 10 seconds?
So RSS, the BJP has to be one of the most inclusive.
Okay, everyone will quote the bunch of thoughts, including this piece. Can we please lower the fader for a second? Everyone will quote what is said in the bunch of thoughts, but will not recognize that in 2018, Mohan Bhagwat himself said that the bunch of thoughts is not relevant, it is not contextual, prasangik nahi hai to what is happening in the current time. It was written for that time. He himself has made several progressive statements. He in fact has said about women that we need to have women come out of their households. Women can do everything that men can, and then some. They are bringing up the family in addition to what they are doing at the workplace. He has spoken about Muslims, but all that anyone can talk about when speaking of RSS is bunch of thoughts. Why?
See, Padma, two things. First of all, I think we have to understand that an organization is known by the ideology it keeps. So even if the RSS has withdrawn that bunch of thought, but the fact of the matter is, in the bunch of thought, it's clearly written that there are the three enemies of this country: the Muslims, Christians, and the communists. Have you ever heard the Gandhi withdrawing his books? Have you ever heard Jawaharlal Nehru? Congress has withdrawn the books of Discovery of India, Glimpses of World? No. Why the RSS had to withdraw these books? Then we in our nation who define, where Golwalkar categorically says the Muslim had to live in this country as the whims of Hindus. They will not have any civil rights.
But if the Sarsang Chalak has already distanced himself from bunch of thoughts, then why do we continue to hold it against him?
We have to harp on this because this is a deception game.
Because then in that case, we will have to keep harping on what Mr. B.R. Ambedkar said about the patriotism of Muslims. But nobody is going to keep bringing that up and question the entire Dalit movement, sir.
Can I quote B.R. Ambedkar? The Ambedkar has categorically said in the book itself that Hindu is the biggest calamity which can happen to India. And it has to be stopped at any cost. This is Baba Saheb Ambedkar has said. And Karan was talking about Mahatma Gandhi. I just want to tell him that in 1946, when the riots happened, then Gandhi asked Golwalkar to meet, and Golwalkar went and met him. Then RSS, Gandhi said, "Why don't you go and your people are doing?" Golwalkar said, "No, these are not my people." So Gandhi asked him, "Why don't you issue a statement?" Golwalkar never.
But Ashutoshji, why are we continuing to judge the RSS from what happened in the 1930s, but not what is happening in 2025?
Let me complete.
Okay,
Let me complete. So somebody said that the RSS people are very disciplined. You know what Gandhi said? Gandhi said even the fascists are very organized and very disciplined. So. And then there is a whole observation by Dr. Rajendra Prasad. There is a whole observation by Sardar Patel, and Sardar Patel wrote in its letter on the 8th April 1948, where he says that RSS is a military, semi-military organization. It is dangerous for the country. Now,
okay.
If such stalwarts are talking about in such words against RSS.
Padmaja.
Then obviously,
so you cannot shed the burden of history. You cannot shed the burden of history. And that is what you will be judged by even today. Karan Verma.
So first of all, Padmaja, we have to look at everything in context. Plucking statements, one or two statements from here and there, I don't think they'll do justice to the cause of any narrative. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, what he said about Islam? He said it's a close brotherhood. They can never be citizens of the country first. And their benefits are only for their brotherhood, and they have contempt and hatred for the outsiders, that is Hindus and Christians. So should we hold him to account for just for this one statement? I don't think we'll be doing justice to that. If at that time the Sarsang Chalak was silent, so was Gandhiji during Direct Action Day. And there was deafening silence on part of Gandhiji during those 2 days. And there were many sections who were disappointed with him. If you have to trace back the origins, why was the RSS formed in the first place? It was formed as a retaliation to what happened in the Khilafat movement. The Khilafat movement was never supposed to be ours. The Mopla massacre happened. Hindus were killed. What the hell did we have anything to do with what was happening with the Khalifa there in Turkey? That was the start of Muslim appeasement. So, we have to look at history in entirety if we have to do that. The truth of the matter is, Hindutva means Indian culture and not just Hindu religion. That's what the Supreme Court has said in 1995. If they stand with Hindutva, which doesn't preach hatred, and as Guru Prakash rightly said, they have a Muslim munch also today, the fact is they are doing something good for the society. If there are aberrations, point that out. Let's be fair and objective towards them at least.
You know who participated? Hedgewar participated. Hedgewar was an active participant of the Khilafat movement. People forget it.
Yes,
and he was the founder of RSS.
Yes.
And let me also quote Sardar Rajendra Prasad, the first president of India, on 14th May 1948. उन्होंने क्या लिखा है? ये बहुत ही खतरनाक बात उन्होंने लिखी है. बोले कि इस देश के अंदर स्थिति बिगड़ रही है और मेरे पास ये जानकारी है कि आरएसएस के लोग ये नकाब ओढ़ के जाते हैं और हिंदुओं को भड़काते हैं.
उसी के बाद तो 3 बार बैन लगे और 3 बार बैन उठे. Why do we keep judging somebody from what has happened in 1946, what has happened post emergency, what has happened post Babri Masjid, when every single time that ban has been lifted? Should we not judge somebody by what they are saying, what they are practicing today? You have condemned them for life.
You know what Mr. Narendra Modi says? वो कपड़ों से पहचानते हैं लोगों को.
Okay, Guru
You know
Prakash.
what 2024 he said? कि भाई यहाँ तो घुसपैठिए आ गए हैं, आपके मंगलसूत्र छीन लेंगे.
आपका मोनोलॉग बहुत हो गया सर.
Does it behove to the Prime Minister of India?
आशुतोष जी, अब आपके ऊपर मैं बोलना नहीं चाहता हूँ सर. कैसे क्यों अनावश्यक सीनियर व्यक्ति हैं सर आप?
A typical device.
So are you saying that what Mr. Modi is saying is an echo of what Golwalkar said?
खिलाफत आंदोलन में भाग लिया था. Are you going to eat your words now? Are you going to eat your words now and say that RSS had a role to play in the independence struggle? You will not do it. Because you are very intelligently only picking out selected things that suits you. You will not pick out the resolution that was taken in 2016 when Akhil Bharatiya Pratidhi Sabha said, and I quote, that there has to be one well, one crematorium and one temple for all the Hindus. You will not take that. And you look at the history, भाई तब गोलवलकर जी ने क्या बोला था? अभी कांग्रेस का फाउंडेशन डे हुआ था. कांग्रेस के फाउंडेशन डे के 25 साल तक कांग्रेस का जो अध्यक्ष होता था वो एक ब्रिटिशर होता था. So are you going to judge Congress by saying that for the first 25 years of the existence of the Congress party, there was a British Congress president? This is beyond my comprehension. Ashutosh ji, you have to understand that the Sangh today, only 2 years ago during COVID, the Seva International of the US was recognized as the non-profit organization of the year by the state of California. You cannot put it under the rug. You cannot just brush it aside. But we have to understand that all the space, right from students to labor to industry to agriculture to even Kutumb Prabodhan, even Kutumb Prabodhan today, the institution of family, the Sangh is working towards that.
Open your books, says Mr. Ashutosh. Open your books.
Justice Roses in December. Roses in December, where it was categorically said that we are Hindu by culture, education wise Muslim, and anglicized by education. So you have to understand that you cannot simply blame the RSS for everything. There is a system, there is a structure, and today, like I said, I'm going to say it for the third time. Today, all the structures of power, all the positions that matter are far more inclusive, far more representative, and far more socially diverse than it ever was during the Congress regime, during Congress government.
Okay, you know, there is a lot.
एक भी मुसलमान नहीं है. आप बीजेपी में एक भी मुसलमान एमपी नहीं है. उत्तर प्रदेश में एक भी मुसलमान एमएलए नहीं है. और आप
गुलाम अली खटाना मुस्लिम राज्यसभा में एक भी नहीं है. गुलाम अली खटाना का नाम जानते हैं आप? दानिश अंसारी का नाम जानते हैं आप? उत्तर प्रदेश में कौन है वो? विचित्र बात करते हैं भाई. मुसलमानों में पसमंदा की बात होनी चाहिए. रेडिकल इस्लाम की बात आप करते हैं. बटला हाउस का एनकाउंटर होता है तो सलमान खुर्शीद कहते हैं कि सोनिया गांधी की आंखों में आंसू थे. मुसलमानों में भी इस्लाम में भी सोशल जस्टिस आए. इसकी चिंता आरएसएस ने की है. इसकी चिंता नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने की है. इस बात को स्वीकार करिए आप.
गुरुजी बताइए ना कि क्या दिक्कत है? क्या दिक्कत है? बीजेपी के एक भी एमपी मुसलमान नहीं केंद्र के अंदर. क्या दिक्कत है? व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम?
अरे सर, that is a very long conversation. We will have yet another debate on that, and then we can do comparisons, statistics of how the representation has happened over years. But I am out of time, so I will simply end by saying this. You know, it's been 100 years, and we've had this debate every month on what the RSS stands for, if the RSS or its affiliates should be banned, whether it's a shadowy underground organization. 3 times it has been banned, and yet for 100 years it has survived. In the words of Mohan Bhagwat this year, kuch to hasti hogi uski ki nishan mitta nahi unka. I'm going to leave it at that, but let the debate and the conversation continue. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for having joined me.